guys.
Hi
Welcome.
everyone.
We are back
I'm
with
finished.
another episode.
Okay.
Um, and listen, today has been long, so I want to be excited about this because I like doing this podcast work.
Fair enough.
Um, anyways, guys, so today we are giving you guys another one of those two-parter episodes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
two guests in one. We're
Come
actually
on.
just giving you guys some good juicy stuff.
But there's a
Um,
catch.
what was the catch? Oh, our brother in the lodge was not around for one of those conversations, but it's okay
It's all right.
because he's around now.
And I'll be in at least one of the conversations we're gonna have today.
Yeah, later in the episode. So, for context about what's actually going on today. While I was searching for, well, actually, let me not even go into that. Let me move back a little bit. African immigrant experiences, da 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 da. That's what we do here, right? And one of our many common experiences are one, um, making an impact. Okay, so we
You
hear a
must
lot
you must feel
about
our
the
presence.
yes, you have to, because why did they send you abroad if not to help the other people behind you?
Come on.
Um, so yeah, like making an impact. I think most people think about it in terms of like remittance and stuff. Um, but today we are talking to somebody who is doing it in a way that helps. It's two-parter. I think it's so cool how they set it up too. It helps somebody here in the diaspora while also somehow helping somebody else who is trying to come into the diaspora.
Love that.
Yes. So while I was in search of a venue, I was talking to the venue that we actually use, their like CEO, about the podcast and what we do. And he was like, "Oh my God,
Is he
you
from
should connect."
Northern?
No,
Okay.
say white man.
Okay.
He said, "You should connect with ALB." I said, "Who is ALB?" So ALB stands for African Leadership Bridge, right? And I met with their two co-founders, Rick and John. And after our like 1 hour conversation, by the way, put me on to some amazing Jamaica food out here in Austin. Okay, so tea. In that 1 hour conversation, John tells me his story and then the story of how ALB came together. And I was just like, so podcast. You're coming on the podcast. And yeah, basically today we're going to be talking to John of ALB, one of the co-founders who, like many international students, kind of struggle to pay his way through college. Talks about his journey, getting here, setting that up, how he managed to finish, and how he is now giving back to incoming international students from the continent.
Yeah. And we're also going to talk to one of the beneficiaries of John's work. So it'll be kind of twofold, how it started,
How it's
how,
going.
yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Full picture. All right.
All right.
Let's get into it.
I'm very excited today because when I heard the bits and pieces of John's story, I was like, ooh, this could be good. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podcast, John. Hi, John.
Hey, Abu Musala, how you doing?
I am good. It's a Wednesday that feels like a Monday. I feel like I'm fighting for my life. It feels like Monday, but also like today's Friday, so everything
Yeah,
needs to be done before
yeah,
the
yeah.
weekend.
I feel
But
you.
it's okay. This this is the nice, break in my schedule to like do the things that I enjoy doing, which is
Awesome.
talking to people and hearing their stories.
Yeah, yeah.
So we like to set the scene, ask every guest this question. What is your Japa story, right? Like how did you end up in the US and yeah, just the journey to getting to where you are.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is school. My first trip to the US was actually for an exchange program through my high school in Kenya. So my high school in Kenya had for a very long time an exchange program with a high school in Boston, Massachusetts called Brooks,
Mhm.
where every year two students would come from Brooks to to my high school, and then 2 students from the high school would go to Brooks for 2 to 3 months ish.
Okay.
So that was my
Like a
first.
semester.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So my first trip out, very formative. During that sort of 3 month stint, they usually encourage students to apply for and take their SATs, and
Okay.
they'll pay for you to take your SATs. And
Oh.
so that was sort of the early inklings of the idea of going to college in the US.
Okay.
And so after that, I was pretty sold on coming out and doing my studies here. And
Mm-hmm.
after it took about 2 years after graduating high school, worked and volunteered across a variety of different organizations in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
And then applied and got admitted to UT, Oakham Horns, which is where I came
Nice.
my undergrad. Didn't know anything about Austin whatsoever. Didn't even know what the UT mascot was.
Yeah.
But I still think that had I had all the background information, I would have made the same choice because I had a fantastic time
Oh,
at the
that's
university.
nice.
It's still a organization that I feel very connected to, an experience that I found very formative and very, very, life expanding, very horizon
Mm-hmm.
expanding. So yeah, that's how I ended up in the US.
Mm-hmm. So many questions. Okay. One, where is your high school? Where was your high school? And why are they more advanced than the rest of us that are taking students to the UK and with the US for a couple of months?
Well, it's actually interesting because it's like, I guess, the equivalent of a public school here, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a storied institution in Kenya.
Okay.
It was the first high school for Black Africans in Kenya. It's called the
Wow.
Alliance
Okay.
High School. It was founded by the PCEA Church in a small town outside of Nairobi called Kikuyu.
Okay.
And so it has a long and storied history that's very intertwined with the history and development of the country. As a
Mm-hmm.
result of being the first high school in Kenya, uh, most of the educated elite of Kenya during the independence period,
Mm-hmm.
a large portion of them went through that institution and formed
Okay.
the sort of post-independence, governing class.
Mm.
And so, for better or for worse, the state of the country is is quite linked with the organization, with the high school,
Hmm.
and I think that history sort of put it on the radar of Brooks. Brooks is a very different kind of institution, similarly storied,
Is that
but
the high school in
in
Boston?
the yes, but
Okay.
just quality. It's a very it's the one of the most elite private high schools in the Northeast, which is where most of the elite private high schools are. And so
Typically, yeah.
yeah, and so as part of they have exchange programs with schools from all across the world, and they picked our school and the girls' school of equivalent stature called the Kenya High School to
Mm-hmm.
do the program. They would pay for it, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's sort of how that came to be.
Honestly, if they sent me to the US as well after doing that for 3 months, I would want to
You're like,
stay.
I'm staying here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
How do I return?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Um, all right. So I guess so outside of those 3 months, that was your first time ever in the US. And the second time you were back was when you went back for school,
Yes,
right?
yes.
What expectations did you have, if any, of like what Austin was gonna be like compared to like where you were?
I really, to the extent that I had any expectations at all, it was that it would be similar to what North Andover, Massachusetts is like, but warmer,
Mm-hmm.
which was very important to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, but
Did you factor that in when you were looking into schools, like
100%.
warmer?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot
He
about
said, I'm not doing that
some
again. Did you
some
go like
crazy.
in the fall,
Yeah, it was
winter,
like
spring?
it was in the no, it was in the sort of spring, winter to spring kind of
Okay.
transition period. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as you may know, like Massachusetts, it can snow in May.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was very much clear that if to the extent that I could be in a warm place, that was where I needed to go. It helped that UT was at the time tied with A&M as the most affordable top 10 engineering schools, so that factored in. And then
Mm-hmm.
I have relatives in Dallas, and so it was good to be close to family.
So it was
Um,
perfect.
yeah.
I do have a question about like that first year. So outside of like your social life and everything else that was happening with school, how was school being paid for? Like what was your
Yeah.
economic setup back home?
Yeah, good question. So I was basically sent out here. My folks paid the air ticket, and they had about enough money for 1 year of school.
Okay.
And so the mission was to figure out the rest.
You
And
know, yeah, you
yeah,
just start and by the grace of God. It's
exactly.
vibes and inshallah. That's
Exactly.
exactly what you did.
You just like, step out in faith. As they
Yes.
say. And so, yeah, so landed, immediately started looking for opportunities for scholarship. My folks,
Mm-hmm.
I was a family, because we grew up by the coast in Mombasa. Swimming was a
Mm-hmm.
big part of our upbringing, competitive swimming. So my parents were urging me to go try and walk on to the UT swim team. I walked
Mm-hmm.
into the aquadrome and saw all the national championship flags, and it
Mm-hmm.
became pretty clear that an academic scholarship,
It was
it
never
was
gonna
not in the
be.
cards. Yeah, these guys were like literal Olympic swimmers.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That is
started.
actually such a humbling experience,
Yeah,
actually,
it
because
is.
I too remember the switch of I used to play basketball in high school.
Yeah,
Now, never to the point where I thought that perhaps I
yeah,
could have an NBA future or
yeah,
heck, even an NCAA future,
yeah,
right? But the day I played with those club basketball girls, I
yeah.
said,
Okay.
they're not teaching us
they're
anything
playing.
inside
They're
that
playing a
Nigeria.
different game.
We're not even in the same room.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Mhm.
don't know, like America, like athletes, they train them for like this
yeah,
is a job.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
this is a future. And in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria, it's like, or at least I guess in Africa, it's like,
Yeah,
have fun, girl. Go
yeah,
and read your
exactly.
book, Sha.
Yeah,
You
yeah. 100%.
must read your book, Sha. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
on your
yeah.
own time, with your own budget, you will do this thing. But
Yeah.
like, there's very little in the way of infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that for at least half of our time at my high school, our swimming coach couldn't actually swim. So it was basically me and my brother sort of coaching and do for a decent amount of time. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, eventually they found the very small subset of scholarships that were actually open to international students mostly through
Mm-hmm.
the UT Texas Exes Association, which is the
Okay.
organization of UT alumni. And so got some of the costs defrayed that way, got an on-campus job working at the library, and then in the provost's office, was able to make a little money that way just for personal upkeep. And I think so my first summer I couldn't intern because I joined in the spring, actually, not in the fall. And I think you
Okay.
have to be on campus for at least a year in order to be have the immigration, whatever immigration requires for you to do like a summer job, like a proper
Mm-hmm.
summer job on the books. And so I did community college in the first summer, and then the second summer I got an internship in New York with an investment bank,
Nice.
and
Wow.
so that um, provided a decent amount of financial support, not nearly enough to cover fees, which, as you know, are
Yeah.
a high period, but particularly high for international students.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some money being chipped in from Kenya as well, from here and there, until as you know, my mom fell sick, and that basically sort of diverted the financial resources to take care of that issue, which is definitely the right way to go. And
What year
that's
was this in? Like what sophomore, junior?
yeah, my sophomore year, towards
Oh
the
wow.
middle to end of my sophomore year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how the African Leadership Bridge ended up being formed, which is how we met. And I met through the Texas Exes organization, which is where I'd gotten some of my initial scholarships, a few $1,000 here and there. I met a guy called Rick Reeder, who is a UT alum and is part of the
Mm-hmm.
Texas Exes, and had volunteered to be a mentor, student mentor.
Mm-hmm.
He was working at Dell at the time. I was doing electrical engineering, so we were paired up by somebody who I still don't know who made that decision. It's just funny because, as you will see, it was probably one of the seminal moments in my life, getting to
Mm-hmm.
meet Rick. And yeah, so he took me on a tour of the Dell factory. We stayed in touch, became good friends, and became an important mentor to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when my mom fell sick and the financial support from home died down, it was pretty clear that I wasn't going to be able to make tuition payments in the coming semester, which would basically mean I wouldn't be able to attend school,
Mm-hmm.
and that would put me out of status, because I didn't mention this
Yeah.
previously, but at the time it was very, very hard to get visas to the US in Kenya. And if you did get a visa, they would give you literally, like for me, I was coming here for like a 4 or 5 year program. I was given a 6 month visa, which meant that, yeah. So, which meant that
Wow.
after the first 6 months, if I wasn't enrolled, I was
Mm-hmm.
out of status, right?
Yeah.
And so a cascade of consequences would ensue from
Mm-hmm.
me not being able to register the following semester. And
Forget
so
having to drop out. They're saying that we will deport you.
I mean, yeah, like that was literally you. Not only will you be deported, your
Wow.
6 month grace period for your student loans, which had been co-signed by my uncle,
Mm-hmm.
would kick in, and then you would need to start paying down
Yeah.
the loans for your degree that you're not going to finish.
Yeah.
So it was just a snowball of very bad consequences that
Yeah.
were best avoided. Long story short, Rick was basically of the opinion that that was unacceptable, and gathered a couple of his friends, set up a scholarship fund to help me initially get through the rest of my college career. And
Mm-hmm.
subsequent to that, that organization, which is the African Leadership Bridge, has gone on to educate, 6 Africans from across the continent in the US, about 17 Nigerians through mostly med school in Nigeria, and
Wow.
has recently established the first Africa-focused endowed scholarship at UT, which we are currently raising funds for. Once the full target of $1.6 million is secured, we'll establish 4 permanent um, full tuition scholarships for African students at UT forever.
Wow. Okay.
Essentially,
I'm gonna pause you.
yeah, yeah,
So much.
yeah.
So much information. First of all, Rick, I think when you're doing prayer every night, you have to be saying, God bless Rick. Amen. God
100%.
bless Rick.
Yeah.
Amen.
And if I don't, my parents are.
Ah, no,
Yeah.
facts, facts, facts.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know if you mentioned this on here, but basically at home, you you had this sort of like pool where like the community was coming together to like pool funds. Can you explain that?
Yeah, no, it's a very, I don't know, I'm sure you have a similar structure in Nigeria, but in Kenya, it's very much part of the DNA of the country, this idea or concept called Harambe.
Mm-hmm.
Harambe, as we say in Kenya, is the concept of coming together to, as a community, to solve a problem, usually
Mm-hmm.
translating into coming together to raise funds for something, whether pay medical
Mm-hmm.
bills, send somebody to school, um, you know, help somebody put on their wedding, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really fundamental to pretty much how most things get funded.
Mm-hmm.
In Kenya, because most people don't have like a sort of government social safety net.
Yeah.
Your community is your social safety net, and the mechanism
Yeah.
in which that safety net is tapped into is this Harambe sort of infrastructure. And so that was instrumental in the initial capital to get me out in here in the US. It was critical in raising the money to
Mm-hmm.
send my mom initially to South Africa and then to India for treatment.
Mm-hmm.
She had a type of lymphatic cancer that required treatment abroad, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was also contributing to some of my financial upkeep money up until those resources were focused on my mom's treatment.
Take care of her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's fully in remission, has been in remission for close to 2 decades now, so she's
That's
doing well.
amazing.
But it was a close thing because by the time
Yeah.
she was going for her final treatments, it was stage 4, which is like the most extreme um,
Mm-hmm.
stage of cancer, and so it's quite unlikely to come back from that. But she
Mm-hmm.
was fortunate to
I want
do
to
so.
know how you felt actually during that time because if it sounds like hearing it, if it sounds like a lot,
Yeah,
living it, I can't imagine because there
yeah,
are layers. There are layers there. Like mom is sick, I'm not there.
yeah.
I might have to leave
Because of
because.
this 6-month visa thing, I came and I didn't go back for 6 years.
Mm,
Because what it mean to go back, first of all, I needed the money. I didn't have the money. But if I did have
mm-hmm,
the money, that would mean that when I'm back in Kenya, I would need to reapply for a visa. And what if they didn't give me a visa? I would
mm-hmm,
then once again end up in a situation where I have half a degree and student loans. And
mm-hmm,
that was not tenable. Um, and so I was here, yeah, through that whole thing. And in some ways, when I think about it, uh, I'm not sure if net that made it easier or harder. Because I never got to actually, my mom is a very stoic lady,
mm-hmm,
very, she's so, like both of my parents are gracious and helpful to a fault, but um, are very interested in protecting people, especially their kids, from some of the hardship that they're going through. And
mm-hmm.
so, I mean, when I would talk to her on the phone, she'd be like, "Yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine," and you could hear in her voice that she wasn't. And so I would have to talk to like my dad or my siblings to find out how she was
What's actually
doing. She
happening?
would she
Yeah.
would be livid if they told me that she wasn't doing well or sent messages that would imply this. But I still got snippets here and there, and kept track that way by
Mm-hmm,
proxy. But my siblings who are in Kenya, they were there for the full effect. My mom, you know, lost so much weight that she was fitting in my small sister's clothes. Like I
mm-hmm.
never got to see
See
that.
that? Yeah.
And I don't know how I would have dealt with that.
Mm-hmm,
Head on. So for better or for worse, I was here, and
mm-hmm,
only able to engage with it through the filter of my parents and my siblings. And
mm-hmm,
so I think, at least to your question, psychologically, uh, I went into a mode where my job was to not add to the burden or that the
Yeah.
family was dealing with in Kenya, which is why it was a complete non-starter for me to in that period ask for additional support
Yeah.
from home. And so figuring out some other way was paramount.
Mhm. Wow. Well, intense,
Yeah.
honestly.
Mhm.
So Rick comes through with his friends. They basically create another Harambe here for you,
Mhm. Yes.
essentially.
Yes.
And for context, guys, Rick is not Kenyan. He's a white American man,
Indeed.
just like just like majority of this country.
Yeah, and as much
Um,
my brother as anybody who shares my blood.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Um, okay, so we put the fund together. They raised everything else that you needed to finish school, not just for that semester, but like
It was very
graduation.
much, it wasn't like these are not people of like, massive means. It was
Yeah.
very much still a touch and go situation semester by semester. We would raise every semester began with just enough money to register for that semester. And I
Mm.
believe that by the end of that semester, we would have figured
We
out
go
what the
again.
next
Yeah.
step would be, whether that's money from a summer internship, an additional fundraiser. I mean, this again speaks to the the value of Rick and Suresh and all these other people's communities, but also just Austin spirit, because it was
Hmm.
literally everybody who contributed um to the African leadership bridge in those early days. Didn't know me from Adam. A few had
Yeah.
been to Africa and had that connection. People um uh,
They just love the safari.
it is, yeah. But I mean, some
Yeah.
people who um, both love the safari and have done incredible work on the continent. Like
Yeah.
people like
I'm
Trey.
teasing.
There's the people who run the Nobility Foundation here
Mm.
in Austin that has built multiple schools in Kenya, multiple libraries in Kenya, and I think you know and by multiple, I mean probably on the order of 30 or more schools across the
Mm.
various communities that are running right now and providing education to communities that don't have access to it. And then people who had only had the safari experience of the continent, and people who had never stepped foot
Yeah.
in Africa, but felt like this was a compelling mission to be part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Mm.
fast forward to graduation day.
Mhm.
What was that feeling like? Who came? What was the vibe? Like, talk me through that. Or like even not even just the day, like the moment you realized, oh, we did it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. Like it's interesting to think about because you know, there are so many people who had been part of this. As I mentioned, a lot of the money was raised to put me through. Uh, that was raised to put me through was the ALB, but my uncle and aunt in Dallas, co-signed on significantly more in terms of student loans
Mm-hmm.
to make the numbers work, and stretching to the point of really jeopardizing their own financial stability. So much credit and love goes out to them. Um, but they were very much a family away from home for me throughout the entire experience, and were front and center during graduation. Um,
As they should.
yes, exactly. I have other uncles and aunts who also came through. and supported. Of course, Rick and his family were there in force. But for me, I don't know. That period almost is kind of like a blur, Like
Mm-hmm.
I was I was glad to have crossed crossed the finish line, so to speak. But it was also a fairly tumultuous period because I continued after my first summer interning with the same investment bank through all my summers, initially in the technology team and then in the investment banking team, and got an offer to return full time
To
with
New
that.
York.
Yeah, to New York. And the issue was that I was graduate. Basically, my final summer in New York was the summer of 2008, which anybody
Yeah.
who was around during that time
Okay.
would know was not a good time to be on Wall Street or really anywhere
Yeah.
in corporate America. So long story short, by the time I was graduating, the investment bank that I had worked with and that I'd gotten a full-time offer to return to did not exist as an independent bank anymore. It had been sold in a fire sale to Bank of America. And as part of that transaction, the decision was made to rescind all the offers to international students. And so I went from a situation where I had, locked in path for what my life was going to be post graduation with a
Yeah.
solid financial um, uh, uh, future
Trajectory. Yeah.
trajectory, to being jobless and about to graduate like in 2 months, and
Mm-hmm.
no idea how I was going to solve that problem, because one, it was a recession.
Yeah.
Two, the recruiting season had ended, because the recruiting season
Mm-hmm.
happens in the fall and this was the spring. And so there was a lot that needed to be sorted out even as I was
Mm.
graduating. And so I think perhaps that's why it's not a very salient
Your
sort
brain
of
has just helped you
yeah.
shut down that information. It
Yeah,
says
just
we
like,
don't need to know what was
son,
happening at this
yeah,
time.
we did it, but like
Yeah. You know what? It's okay. Let me pull you out of that. Let me
indeed.
pull you out. Okay. So I guess at what point did you realize that like you wanted to make ALB a thing? Like when did you realize, okay, I want to be able to support other like international students from the continent?
That was right from the get-go. I mean, I was
Mm.
involved very extensively in the discussions that led to the formation of the organization,
Mm-hmm.
because it was essentially formed to solve my problem first, right, which was
Mm-hmm.
how to fund education and graduate. Um, and as part of that, we decided two things. One, that we were not going to make it, that it was important for us to have an Africa-wide focus as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to a Kenya focus, which would have been logistically simpler, because I had my networks to my high school that I knew had
Mm-hmm.
stellar candidates who would benefit very much from access to something like what was being formed with ALB. But that it felt important to use this as an opportunity to help to further stitch together a continent
The
that's very
continent.
disconnected internally for a variety of
Mm-hmm.
reasons, including limited infrastructure, high costs, and just a, a, a history of being very outward looking. Even
Yeah.
though it is still by far, in my view, the continent that has the strongest I- idea of itself as a unified entity, even as it is probably the most fragmented. I always tell people, like, It's
You know
have you
what?
ever
You're
seen
right.
yeah have you ever seen anybody in the world with a pendant of their continent other than an African?
Yeah, fair, fair,
No one.
fair. Ain't nobody wearing Europe.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen a Latin American with the continent of Latin America on their pendant?
Yeah,
Nobody wears a
yeah,
pendant on the American. Nobody
yeah,
has a pendant of the of Asia. But like, it's such a common thing to
yeah,
see people who have, they know the shape of their country. They could put their country on their
yeah,
pendant, but why do they put the continent, right? So
yeah.
it is something that I mean, we take for granted, but it is something special. There is a sense of an African identity that
Listen,
underpins a lot
this
of
is
things.
a Pan-African podcast, so you don't have to explain too much over
Yeah,
here. We
yeah,
deeply we
yeah,
deeply believe in this. But in this, I guess, well, not maybe not this current iteration, maybe slightly earlier iterations. What were things from your own experience, right, that shaped how you guys designed the organization and like the scholarships?
yeah. One, I think, giving back to the community and the passion for the role of education in African development is deep in my DNA. My grandfather um, was an economist, rural focused on rural development in Kenya, and this is
Hmm.
something that he really drilled into us. He instilled the value of investing in your community and investing in education. So that, to me, made it important for us to set up the organization in such a way that we were not only supporting the students, but we were setting up a sort of an automatic scaffolding for them to support other students, which
Hmm.
is how we ended up initially setting up the organization as a paid forward organization where students would help fund as future students coming through the scholarship. That has since evolved, but I, for instance, over a few years, paid back all the money that I got from ALB, and that money went straight to
Wow.
educating our second student, who was from DRC, right?
Hmm.
Um,
How much
Subsequent,
was that, if you don't mind me asking?
the total was somewhere in the area of about $15,000. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. As I mentioned, the bulk of the funding came through um, um, uh,
The loans.
a couple of things. Low student loans, of which I
Mhm.
had well north of 100,000 by the time I was graduating,
Yeah.
um, and um, and also towards the end, um, after we'd built, a strong relationship with UT, securing waivers for the out of state portion of the tuition, which
Hmm.
continues to be part of our value proposition to
That's a big chunk. Yeah.
yeah. So if you receive one of ALB scholarships, UT chips in by waiving essentially something like 70% of your tuition, um,
Hmm.
which is a direct financial cost to them, and it shows how much they value the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's sort of how it came together. And so that 12 to 15K went into Eve's tuition, which was actually not at UT. He went to Oklahoma State University for his
Hmm.
undergrad. And so yeah, so part that upbringing embedded this sort of it's okay to
Pay
receive,
forward.
but you must give back to the community. And
Mm.
so both the pay forward element and subsequently the recommendation slash requirement that students participate on the board of directors post graduation to help keep the organization going,
Hmm.
and support future students. So
Hmm.
it was born out of that.
So there's like a built-in sustainability in
Yes.
the way it was designed.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So how many students would you say you've helped so far? And also curious, was there one particular student that like stuck out to you, like whose story was just like, wow, we really did good on this one?
And I mean, so we've graduated 6 in the US. as I mentioned, 17 in Nigeria. We have 2 currently at UT, and we have a third one who's been selected, but we haven't received their name yet. So when these,
Okay.
so I ideally will end up with like 4 in parallel,
Okay.
because that's so also there's the goal when we have the fully funded tuition endowment to be able to at any one time be helping to educate for brilliant Africans. So that would make 9 with the third one that's been selected through U.S. Universities.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, who stands out? Um, uh, I mean, they're all incredible. It's like asking me to.
Don't do that,
No,
John.
but
Don't
it's
do
true.
that.
It's
I
true.
mean,
Maybe I'll.
okay, maybe not like a favorite, but like one of those like stories of like when you were in the selection process of being like you read this story and you were like, this person needs this scholarship and like
Yeah.
how they used it.
Yeah. I think maybe I'll pick a bit from several students.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I
Yeah.
think that might be more illustrative.
I'll be
And
more political.
no, it's more equitable.
More equitable. All right, but I'll take
um,
it. I'll
uh,
take it. I'll
uh,
take it.
uh, so Eve was our second student I mentioned. He's from the DRC. He went to the African Leadership Academy, which is where we were sourcing students for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer the case, but that helped.
ALA needs to pay me. I just have to say this.
Real talk.
For the number of plugs I give this like school on this podcast, Fred Swaniker, contact me.
Yeah. Hit me up.
But yes.
But yeah, it was for us. It was an easy way to sort of get this Pan African student selection kicked off,
Mm-hmm.
because you could sort of ride off of the infrastructure that they had set up.
Created,
I
yeah.
had a relationship there because their founding principal was a former principal of my high school, and so we were able to make that work. Eve was a brilliant student. Had been admitted to a number of universities, had not received scholarships that would make it possible for him to attend. He was, as I mentioned, from DRC, which is, if Africa is hard knocks, DRC
It's actually tough.
is
I feel like they're
real,
always, yeah.
real hard knocks, but just brilliant, and so much potential.
Mm-hmm.
He was already, feeding back to his fellow students, um, through tutoring and other academic assistance programs when we were considering him amongst other students, and so we knew that he was sort of philosophically aligned with how we were thinking of the organization, and sure enough, we brought him to the US, hit the ground running, and just like you know like excelled beyond our wildest dreams. Went
Mm-hmm.
on to work in for GE across a variety of departments. Went to grad school at Cambridge University in the UK, and is doing private equity work in Africa right now.
Nice.
Diana is from Egypt. She's again another brilliant student of ours. Went to UT, joined the premier one of the premier service organizations at the university fairly early on. It's called the Orange Jackets. Um, was giving back to the community right from the get go. Graduated, um, joined. I'm not sure if this was before or after grad school, but worked at Deloitte, went to grad school at Harvard, is back at Deloitte doing
These
incredible
guys
work.
are the African parents' dream. Just like Yes, my daughter went to school. My son went to school. He's now
Indeed.
in Harvard. He's what like yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I see the selection process. I understand it.
Indeed, but it's a
I
very actually it's a very broad in terms of talent. We
mm-hmm,
have like UK, who's incredible creative mind.
mm-hmm.
Went to UT, doing studied television and film. Went worked in the US. Went back to Nigeria. Worked at Maven, which is one of the
The
premier
record label, yeah.
music studios out of Nigeria. Came back, went to California, did his masters in film, and is now uh, just recently graduated and is now transitioning into post graduation life. And so it's not just finance people, consulting people. It's the creative arts. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very broad cross
It's
section.
the range.
Yeah, indeed. That's
The
what we're
range.
bringing to the
Nice.
table, and each of these people is just adds their brings their own flavor. I think perhaps if I was to pick a specific story, our current student, Ali is just as brilliant as all of them. He's doing a double major and is thinking of adding a minor. In uh, is doing aeronautical engineering with German, looking to add software engineering. Really,
Ali, touch, go outside now. It's okay. It's okay. Enjoy
indeed,
your life. Somebody, I think that's part of the things we need to be telling them. Enjoy
indeed.
your
And
life.
they seem to be doing so. Like, yeah, Ali's from
Like, this is as
Cameroon.
easy as life gets. I can
Yeah.
assure you, my G. Please go outside and touch grass. Enjoy
For
yourself.
real, for real. And I mean,
Wow.
that's literally the message that we keep reiterating to them. I mean, he's like he lives in Pflugerville, and like he's
Mm-hmm.
up at 5 a.m. in the morning to make it to class in time
Wow.
every day. And it's like, how do
Yeah.
I mean, we have the same reaction of it. It's like, how are you doing this? And are you sure you're getting enough time to just live, and
Yeah.
experience other things? But I mean, they seem very happy and fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
and that's important to us because we really see our value add as not being the funding, especially now that we've transitioned both the actual selection and the fund management to UT and the endowment. We really see our
Mm-hmm.
value add as providing a family for these students
Mm-hmm.
to help them
Yeah.
succeed beyond the classroom while in the US. And part of
Community.
it is making sure that they don't get burnt out and don't miss the forest for the trees, don't lose the sight of the fact that there's more to experience
Yeah.
than just the reading. Yeah.
Reading your book. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. So talk us through, like, you sort of alluded to this, like, the scholarship has moved. What is this new structure and how does it work?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, so UT has one of the largest university endowments in the country. I
Mm-hmm.
think we're like second or third after like Harvard and maybe one other institution, maybe Yale or something like that. But of course, we have a much larger student body
Student body. Yeah.
to support. But in these sort of funds, the larger the fund, generally the better the returns because you can hire better money managers as you see, and Utemco is like one of the best. They have an
Mm-hmm.
incredible fund manager, which is Utemco is the fund manager for the UT fund, and so they handle all the money that's donated, and so you can form an endowed scholarship with certain criteria defined on what you exactly you're trying to support through this scholarship, what kind of student you want to help um, uh,
Who gets to
be able to
access it?
attend. Yeah, you can't, you can't, one determine who the student is going to be, because these are public funds. Once they're in that funding, you can't say, I only want Kenyan students, or I only want Black students or Indian students. That's against state rules. But you can decide, you can define specific experiences, types of backgrounds that
Okay.
you think would add value to the student body, that you would want to help support. And those are then taken as recommendations by the selection committee. They do not have an obligation to follow those recommendations, but the interests are aligned on the selection, because our part of the deal is we'll raise money to help these students achieve these goals, and their part of the deal is these people care about ensuring that these kinds of students get to attend UT, and so let's try and both help each other achieve our goals, right? And so once you do that, then what happens is the funds go in to the endowment, and you don't use those funds to fund their scholarship. They are invested, and then a portion of the returns is used to fund the scholarships, which is what makes it so that the funds stay in there forever and continue contributing. So that's really the core of the sustainability mission, right? So the idea is our short-term goal is to hit $125,000, which is when the fund starts to kick off at approximately 4% of the endowed funds annually in scholarship funds. We've put in 25,000 right now and are funding the other ones directly through the organization, so that we can get rolling while we build up to that 125K.
Okay.
And the idea is that as we build up to 1.6 million, once we get to that level, if we the following day decide we don't want to do this anymore and we just walk away, those 4 students will always be attending UT in perpetuity through those funds. Of course, we would probably just expand our vision and try to do more. But it's important to us because, we are from all, many of us are not from Austin. We don't know where we're going to be in 10, 20 years, or if we're ever going to be here or alive. But we don't want the success of this mission to depend on us being here, physically located in Austin, or even having the wherewithal to run the organization. So that's why we made this decision with its inherent trade-offs, because prior to switching to the endowment model, we had full control over student selection, for instance. And after much discussion, we felt like that was the right set of trade-offs to settle on.
Nice. So you are currently raising funds. You're trying to get to 1.2.
6.
1.6.
You have shaved $400,000 from our target.
It's a lot of money. I'm so sorry. What a skip of 400,000. Yeah.
It is
Okay.
what it is.
And how long do you have to raise this?
Well, so we'll be 20 years old in about 3 years. So we've been around for 17 years. In that 17 years, we've raised over $1 million for student scholarship. Of course, it has all gone directly to funding the students. So $5 million is no longer in our bank account or in any endowment fund. And we want over the next 3 years to do another 1.6, and in time for 2-decade anniversary.
And then into perpetuity.
Yes.
Will students be sent to UT? That's amazing.
For like the first 125,000, for instance, every dollar that we receive gets the equivalent of about $7 of matching funds from UT, right? Because they give us that
waiver
reduction. So we very quickly make progress towards the goal. Just by collecting, a little from here and a little from there.
Mhm.
Mm.
So how can our listeners support this? Like where can they go to say
Yeah.
here's my contribution?
Well, they can go to our website, theafricanleadershipbridge.com. I mean, one way is to support financially, but there's so many other ways to support.
Mm-hmm.
We are a full-time working board, so we run everything. We don't have uh, any paid employees of the organization, right? So all
Mm-hmm.
the funds go into the scholarship fund. But what that means is that the board does the work of organizing events, whether those are fundraising events or community building events. We're constantly looking for mentors for our students, and because at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the day, they are the reason why we do this, and their success is what matters to us. So for our existing
Mm-hmm.
students, as whether those are mentors within their chosen career paths, which for the current set of students is in investment banking and aeronautics, um, or it's just personal mentors on life in general. That's another way to support and contribute.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly valuable when people tell their friends about what we're doing, because our reach is only so large, but there might be somebody within your network for whom this resonates particularly
Yeah.
for whatever reason, and they may never hear about us unless you tell them. And so
Yeah.
there's just multiple ways to support. And I guess first step is just going to our website, searching for us on Facebook and the African everywhere. It's the African Leadership Bridge, and yeah, join the community.
Nice.
Mhm.
Well, John, thank you so much for being here. I'm actually really excited because we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're actually going to talk to a current recipient, okay, of the ALB scholarship funds. Very interesting transition from like founder to like current. It's the sustainability is showing, guys. I love this.
For real, yeah.
All
No,
right.
this is the opening act. The main event is the
It's
next.
coming soon. All right, guys, we'll
Yeah.
be right back.
Cheers. Thank you.
Oh my god, Abim, the game show was so fun. When is the next one? Oh my god, Abim, I missed out on the game show. When is the next game night? Ask and you shall receive. On October 3rd, Japa Diaries is back for another game night, just in time for Nigeria's Independence Day. And this time, we're teaming up with Archives for their monthly music lovers game night, Press Play. I'll be your host for this special edition designed exclusively for my Afrobeats lovers, okay? And of course, all that music means we have to dance. The after party is going down right after at Coconut Club and is hosted by our good friends at All the Vibes Entertainment. Tickets for both the game night and the after party are on sale right now at the link in bio. And see, if you missed this one, I can't help you. Alright, see you there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and I'm here for the B side of this episode. Some might say the better side, but no one will say that. No one will say that. We have actually, should I introduce our guest right now? Yeah, I think
Why
it'd
do
be
you
a
want to
great time.
introduce her?
No, I think it's a great time too, because I believe I just had the pleasure of talking with one of the co-founders of ALB. Um, Now I have the pleasure of talking to one of the recipients of the ALB scholarship and some of the work that they do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Usomine.
Woo! Hey, everybody.
You better toot your horn, girl. She said,
Every- hey,
I like that.
everyone.
I like that.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. Well, this is
Thank you.
actually your, I guess, your second, but
Ish.
first
Secondish.
appearance.
Yeah, secondish time.
Yeah, yeah.
Happy to
So,
be here.
Mina was at our event a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
and she got the chance to do the recording booth, that we had. So you're actually on like 2 episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you should go check that out. You and Abby. Thanks again, by the
Yeah,
way. We had an
of
amazing
course.
time.
We had a
Um,
time. We had a time.
we had a time. We had a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And I
Uh,
think with that booth, there was a little bit of a Japa story in there. But for the people who haven't seen that yet or weren't able to attend our event, let's just dive right in. So why don't you just tell us about your Japa story?
So I Japad, I think 4 years ago in 2021. I was supposed to leave in 2020, but with COVID and everything, the uncertainties, and
Voila.
it just was not happening. And
Mm-hmm.
funny enough, I wasn't going to come to the US. So I was a little backstory. I was born in Ireland. So I was supposed to go to school in the
Okay.
UK actually.
Use your passport. Yeah.
I'm telling you, use my passport. But then when I had no family and COVID happened, my parents were like, you know what, we'd rather pay more money for you to go where we can monitor you and you're somewhere safe, if anything happens to you.
Monitor
So
you.
so, my last year in secondary school in Nigeria, we just did a full 360. So the IGCSE was not enough. I had to do SATs, I had to do all
Mm-hmm.
the other classes. I eventually left after I graduated in 2021. So imagine after I already told my friends that I'm not even doing SS3 with you guys. Last one, last
Dang.
one, last one, I still did the SS3 with them.
You
Oh,
see, sometimes
you
life,
know.
life, life can be wicked
Yeah.
because you are not
Yeah.
lying. You
I
are not
Yeah.
wasn't.
lying.
And
Yeah.
that time everybody was saying they're leaving, they're leaving. So when everybody came back, all of us said,
Look
SSE,
Mm.
that's not even everything. So I eventually left. I did a year of high school again in a private boarding school in Georgia. And then after
Okay.
that, I was like, actually, I don't want you guys to actually monitor me. I don't want to be in Georgia. I want to be far, far away from you guys. And then I
Mm-hmm.
just, I had always liked Texas. I just applied. I came here and I've been here ever since. So that's kind of
Wow.
how I got to
Interesting, interesting. Avisa, did you do you did both of you? You did IGCSE and SATs?
Yeah, I did. I didn't do my SATs until my gap year. So I took a gap year. So I did SS3,
okay,
graduated, and then I took a gap year. And it was during my
okay.
gap year that I
Did
um
SATs.
did my SATs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
did
my
the same thing
parents,
too. They
I
ran
don't know
it
if they
back.
wanted to monitor us. Maybe there was monitoring. Actually, I take that back. Your father and mother absolutely wanted to monitor me because there's no reason why they moved at the time that they moved, if not to be settled down enough to be ready to monitor me when I arrived.
And
Wow.
that is African parent love.
For you, I'm
Okay,
telling you.
okay. Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to school in state anyways, so I guess it worked out.
Okay.
Um,
All
but
right.
yeah, no, what was I going to say? You sound like a very good gisting partner. I don't know how to explain that, but I feel like
Me?
yes,
The way
Hey.
she laid out her
her
story.
I get
aura.
that.
Yes,
I get that.
yeah.
When she was talking about the secondary school, this thing.
That we
That's
got
what.
together, we saw each other. We said,
I do.
Look at it.
I
That's the
do.
part that was suiting you.
I do love
yeah.
gist. I, I'm there like
Hey,
mad.
we love a self-aware queen.
Yes,
See.
yes, yes.
Ah. Okay, so I mean, talk me through this. What was the setup like? How was your family paying for tuition? Because you're an international student, so she's already shaking her head. Just, yeah, tell us about it. Tell us about
Times
it.
were times were tough. I remember when I first came, from the first day itself, before my mom even dropped me, she said, "So, Mine, I can't lie to you. We don't have the money. We can't sponsor you for 4 years." So she was like, "Right now, I have 2 years, 2.5 years. If you waste time, but I don't have the money. We don't have the money for 4 years." So I already came
Mm-hmm.
in thinking, "Hey, God, oh, what will I do?"
Mm-hmm.
they already told me. And at
They've
that time,
prepped
my
you.
brother was still, I have a younger brother who was still in Nigeria. So my mom was like, when he catches up to you and he's in America, we're paying double, like that money, the reserve is going down. And I
Yeah.
remember, like, even from conversations with them, they were saying how when they were saving up for my school fees, like naira to dollar was like 400 naira, 300. As of my
Yeah.
first year, it was like 700,
God.
so that money was already halved.
Yeah.
And so it was just the pressure was getting worse, to be honest. So I
Yeah.
did a couple of jobs on campus, which I would never do again. I worked fast food. We tried to hustle the hustle. And then,
Yeah.
I had found out that there was something called like RA, resident assistant, which is something that I was interested in. I've always
Mm-hmm.
felt
At
that
least you can have like housing covered with that.
and then your housing will be paid for, meal plans, whatever. And it's also like, to me, I was like, it's not just a Yapo residence. Like, I like talking, here and there. I can listen to one or two complaints about the dorms or your personal life. So I had applied and something
That's
had happened.
literally the job description of
You know what I'm
Yeah.
telling you?
That's literally the job description.
You just, you just have to show care, to be honest. You just have to show care. And I was like, if my husband will be paid for, why not? So I had applied. They had told me, Kiniko, they can't. Something happened on their system. they can't get my application. So I was like, next year we'll go again, we'll go harder.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to, and I think one big thing is like a lot of people just bottle and all these things. Like talk to people because you don't know who knows who that knows what.
Yeah.
And so I remember I had a mentor in one of the organizations I was in, and I was like, girl, I'm an international student. I'm struggling. Like, I'm looking for scholarships. UT is telling me I have to submit FAFSA. I'm not eligible for FAFSA. Like, what do we go from
Yeah.
there? And she was like, oh, that you should actually just talk to an advisor, do this, do that. So I had talked to so many people, and I had just gotten a bunch of scholarships. Now, luckily for me, that was the first year ALB was reopening a scholarship since COVID. So they had closed their scholarship down since COVID. And I had
Mm-hmm.
seen it. I was like, wow, African student who has goals to make a difference in Africa, like when they graduate, that's kind of what I want to do. I'm a business student. Like I've always wanted to I've always thought that the biggest problem with Africa is that like people are not financially literate and the cost
Mm-hmm.
of educating if like a regular person is too high. So I've always been interested in like financial literacy at a low cost. That's kind of like my big goal for the world,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to put it that way. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Change maker.
want to make a difference somehow. And that was my little goal for life. So I just was like, I think this sums me up. I'm an African. If I have to go back, that's not really what I want to do. But you know what? I want to make a change. I want to make a change somehow. And so I just applied. I remember they asked for like bank statement, they asked for recommendation letters. Like I said, I had people to vouch for me, like teachers and people that I had worked with. So that all clicked in I think my sophomore year. I got that one, and
Nice.
I got a bunch of other international student specific scholarships. So I knew and then knew like how to look for scholarships for people like me, not just like
Mm.
blind applications, I think. And
Yeah.
then to top it off, I now even got the RA position that covers me till I graduate. Automatically renewing, So not only
Period.
exactly. So then you don't have a scholarship, the ALB scholarship that pays the international student part, and then you have your housing covered, and you have a bunch of scholarships on top of that. So
How many
that
scholarships?
really, I want to say, I think I have 3 scholarships. So
Mad.
ALB, one other Texas ISS one, and another one. So I think that the next year I went from paying my first year I paid $68,000 as my school fee to paying about like 12K, which was doable.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
it was honestly just God, to be honest.
Nice. So it was one of your mentors that actually let you know about ALB.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
she didn't know ALB specifically. She just said, you know what, you're not an American citizen. You can't be just setting up citizen scholarships for youth.
Scholarships.
You have to know
Yeah.
how to filter, how to apply for specifically for yourself. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
I now said, adding like international to the like search bar, seeing what I actually qualified for. Because before I would just blindly apply, I wouldn't even look at the requirements. So then I'm just disappointing myself because you're
Mm.
not even who they were looking for in the first place.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah.
So that's when I found ALB, and I think it was just a matter of like luck and time because, like I said, that was the first time they opened up the scholarship since COVID. So it was just like, okay, this was the first time, and they only took one recipient for the whole year, and it covers you till you graduate as well. So it was just
Mm-hmm.
a matter of timing. Because if somebody else had it, who knows if I would have ever been able to get it?
Mm.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Wow.
besides that, like monetary value, I think that was 68K to 12K. Like, I mean, that's a huge relief because I'm going
Yeah.
through college already complicado,
Yeah.
right? Then to have that added stress, it can take away from the experience a little bit. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad things were able to work out a little bit. How do you think this has impacted your future trajectory? Like going towards graduation and even thinking further down the line, all those things you wanted to do back in Nigeria, give back to the community. How do you say that this has
Yeah.
had an impact?
I think one thing I really loved about ALB was that when I got the scholarship, they told me that you know what, we don't want to just throw money in your face. Like we want to actually be there with you. So through ALB, I've also been able to get professional connections, like in terms of internship, like I have them refer me to people. I have them like put me in group chats and just say, hey, this is somebody I know that you might need this person in life, and if not, like. And I think also just the community of just being able to yap about things you struggle with and have people that relate. Like sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you just want somebody that feels you, that feels what you're going through
Yeah.
and what you've been through. I think
Yeah.
that definitely also took a lot of the stress because when I first came here, obviously, straight from Nigeria, 1 year in a very like private whitewash school, it was so easy to feel out of place. Like I just felt like
Yeah.
even this UT that everybody that I told I was international was already saying, how did you do it? So I'm like, how did I even do it?
He
You
shocked you.
know? It
He
shocked me. Like I don't have a nice poetical story
Ah.
to give. I just applied and God did it. So it really just
Mm-hmm.
helped me to talk to, like the people that I met and like connections I made professionally, like financially, like all of them are just one call away. And I think also it was also a mindset thing because I just felt like I could breathe. Like I wasn't so my GPA my first year was so bad because instead of me looking to see, okay, this spare time I have, let me focus on homework. I'm looking for how can I pick up extra shifts? How can I,
Mm-hmm.
do this, do that. So it just gave me time to really focus on myself, focus on
And
okay,
why you came?
and why I came, because I'm like, I mean, Macombs, they say Macombs is hard. I don't even know what I want to do. What business do I want to do in this Macombs? So it gave me time to just really all around like develop myself, have breathing space, figure out like how to plan my life. Like it was just such a relief to be honest, like in so many
Mm-hmm.
different ways. And so
Yeah. And it came at the right time too because you were that bank was running low.
it was it was actually something. It was
What were your parents' reactions when they realized that you got the scholarship?
my mom screamed. Like I called her WhatsApp video call, and she was just screaming. And I think for the next week, like everything she sent me was like all these TikTok worship songs because everybody like couldn't believe it. And I think what was even crazier was that ALB is a scholarship that covers you to graduate. You can think
Mm-hmm.
you're just lucky this year and the money has
Mm-hmm.
been, the money is way this year, but to think that till I graduate, like they're covering me that much, that it was just it just made everything so much easier. Like my dad too. My dad was like, "I'm so proud of you. Like wow, thank you so much." And I know that even if it was even just like so emotional for them to think that like, because sometimes you don't actually know what your parents are going through. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing that I took what they were going through seriously and actually like acted on it, because I know people that even with their parents are
Mm-hmm.
struggling today, they will know they don't have initiative to apply to a single scholarship. Like people just
Mm-hmm.
think that their parent money does not ever finish. So that
Mm-hmm.
initiative and showing that really, it definitely made them really appreciative
You
of.
see, this is why you
Mm-hmm.
collect scholarship. Initiative.
Yeah,
Think
your
forward.
brain, your
Thinking,
Take
brain is
action.
thinking. I
yeah.
know.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, it really was. It was good.
That's great. So when is graduation actually?
May graduation is in May next year. Oh, just like that.
Have you said where you're going?
Girl.
Just like that.
Abi, can you give us tickets? I'll show up and support.
Hey, just
It's a lie.
like that.
Her whole family has collected.
Yeah.
This
One,
hustle
one, one,
for
one, one.
graduation tickets.
I'm telling you.
This
This one
hustle for
that it
graduation
came
tickets
it
is
came with
real.
sweat. The whole Lagos will be here. The whole
Fair enough.
Lagos will be here.
So I think you were talking earlier about like how one of the things you wanted to do was educate Nigerians on financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so hard right now? And like, what opportunity are you seeing that you think you can improve? Is that still the plan post grad?
Yeah. So that is a plan that I have, but it's not something like it's just a lifetime plan. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Okay.
something, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
being very honest, it's not something that like I am saying that in the next 5 years or in the next 6 years I want to do. I think that before I do something that drastic, I need a lot of knowledge. And
Yeah.
I need to first work first. Let me even enter into the financial industry and see what it is like
Mm-hmm.
on a personal note first before I can even do that. So that's just like something that I was really passionate about. And it even came about because in like when COVID happened, my dad used to own a restaurant and his business got closed down because of COVID. Things were so hard and everything. And so I was just as a how old was I? 10-year old No, I was 16 at the time. So I was just asking myself, like, if, like, why didn't daddy just, like, make good decisions that just brought him money? Like, what did he, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just,
Because it's so easy, Abby.
it was so easy, like I wasn't thinking like that serious, but it was just those thoughts that even brought about that. I'm like, there's probably so many other people whose parents also like got businesses shut down. Like, why can't people, like, why are there no enough resources for people to actually know how to spend money? And in situations like this, like, what opportunities do they have? What access to like money and funds do they have? And then obviously I
Mm-hmm.
did a lot of research and stuff, and I have also seen it that like the average Nigerian doesn't even know about investing, about all this, about all that. If we're leaving like people that have obviously white collar jobs, but like the average person on the street doesn't know how to grow their money, how to do this, how to be smart with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that
Not the
was
one that
where
they will
like
tell you that they will take your money and double it. That you
exactly
just
like
drop your money.
What they call
being
it,
scammed.
MMA.
I remember
Mm.
MMA exactly. So stuff like that.
They're still with me money.
Is that's where the that's, you didn't say they're still owing you money.
Don't answer this man. Please. Please.
That's where the need for that came about. And yes, definitely it's still something that I'm looking forward to. Like I said, I've talked to ALB about it. They're willing to support me, but first I think I just need let me work a little bit and figure out how we're even going to go about that, because Nigeria of now is not the Nigeria of when I left in 2020. So
Yeah, yeah.
Even that Nigeria you left 2020. ah.
exactly. It's just getting worse and worse. So we
Mm.
just, I think I have a lot to learn first.
Okay. Well, final question for you. What would you say to potential like donors who want to support students like yourself? So John spoke to us earlier about the endowment fund that they set up
Yes.
now, um, and how they're sort of trying to raise money for the endowment fund so we can start supporting students like into perpetuity, essentially.
Uh-huh.
What would you say to them about why they should support something like this?
I think that I think so. A fund like that obviously supports international students. I think a lot of people think like a lot of people underestimate like how much international students bring to the table. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that if we're looking at investing, like international students are people that have left home and have been thrown into a new environment and forced to adapt and thrive literally. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that if you think about it that way, then you should understand how basically like how like they have to be hardworking. They have so many people looking up to them
Yeah.
from home. Like I remember all the time I talk to my cousins, like even from my little cousins, their parents are already telling them, look at Usomine is in school, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like we have a lot of pressure on us, and because of that, we feel like we have to perform. And I think that nothing is better than having that like I must make a mindset, because then it's like you're hardworking, you're driven, you know your roots, you know what is at stake. And I think that we're just people that will not let opportunities waste. Like being international student in UT is especially I have been it has made me so aware of like opportunities around me, like that an American citizen may not even care about, but I'm just like, wow, this is an opportunity. You know what I'm
You
saying?
guys don't even know what you're
Mm-hmm.
getting. You don't even
You
know
don't
what you have
even know
Yeah.
what you're
access to.
getting. I'm like, you know where we came from. You guys don't even understand. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just things that we don't take for granted.
You're sleeping while making money.
Well, you're sleeping while making
No,
more. I'm telling
sorry.
you, like, it's just. I think that international students work so hard, and I think that this is definitely a good cause to support, especially since, like, not only are we making an impact here too, we're also going to make an impact back home, which looks different, and it's also like the different perspectives, like the way you think, the way an international student thinks is not the way somebody that was born and raised in America thinks. There's just so many
Mhm.
things that we bring to the table that I think are overlooked. And I think anybody that has had to make it by themselves in this country is trying and deserves all the support they can get. So that's it.
Yeah. And as many international students yourselves, guys, support the cause. Support the
Come
Support
on.
the
cause.
support the cause,
Give back
please,
to your
Yeah.
community.
please.
So we asked the people on the Instagram, okay, have you ever supported somebody else's education? Say like a GoFundMe or something like that. This is so interesting. So we have a 20 20 20% split for
Ooh.
yes they've supported family and friends. Yes, they've supported strangers online. And yes, they've supported both. And 40% said, nope, this is your chance. Okay. I think what I really like about this fund is it's an endowment, so it doesn't, you're not just paying for one person and the person is graduating. You're putting money into a pool that says every year the interest or the investment, that's like the returns that are made on this investment, is going to go towards sending 4 people to school every year for as long as UT exists, which is insane. Like I think it's the first of its kind for like international students as well. So like we would actually be doing something
I love that. That's real
impactful.
system. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
systematic change.
Sustainability.
Yeah. It's sustainable. Yeah.
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 It's making me emotional.
Uh,
Even. Wow. Wow. Support international students.
I love this girl, I swear.
It's making me emotional.
I can see in her eyes. She's having
Yeah.
flashbacks.
Man, the hardship. The hardship.
Yeah,
Well, Usomine, thank you so much for joining us today.
I really
Where
appreciate the
can
time.
people find you on the internet if you want to be found?
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. My Instagram is usomina.oma.
Okay.
And then my TikTok is usomina omamikbe. I will give it to Bim so she can put it somewhere in the podcast.
I'm going to get on Usomine's case now.
Eh?
You are graduating in May. They say, where can they find you? What's up? Instagram, TikTok. What's your LinkedIn? Are you having job? Are you having job? You see this baby?
My LinkedIn was third. My LinkedIn is the most important one. If you don't follow my social media, please follow my LinkedIn because I'm looking to connect always with any and everybody in any industry, really, because you never know. You never know. But bonus point if it's finance or banking or something like that.
Period.
Say no more.
Period. And for any of our listeners who want to support this endowment and send many, many more international students from the continent to college, you can support them at africanleadershipbridge.org. That is africanleadershipbridge.org. All right, y'all. Till next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Stay tuned. Bye.